It's time to chill out and get ready for a mediocre Q&A live stream. If you're old enough, grab yourself your favorite adult beverage, and if you're not, stick with apple juice. Put your feet up and relax. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. And now let's cue up the intro music. Yo, hopefully you guys are doing good this evening. You know, as I'm looking in my office right now, you guys can't really see. Even my other camera angle wouldn't do it justice, but I'm essentially looking into a closet that's empty, and I realize that my camera and my lights all have cobwebs going across them. So yeah, I need to get back there and clean a little bit. The way that I made my office setup, I can't access behind my desk anymore, and I've been trying to figure out a way to fix that. But yeah, I am looking at lots of cobwebs, so I got to get that taken care of. I'm rolling without the pop filter today, so hopefully I don't kill you guys with pops and all that good stuff. So hopefully everybody is doing well. Yeah, I go ahead and disconnect me from that if I'm still on a Discord thing. So guys, before the stream, I usually, if I get off work in time and stuff, I'm doing show prep. I'm usually sending out emails, setting up links, and setting up the stream and all that good stuff. And I'll usually hang out in this Discord server that we have set up. It's essentially just like YouTube, the YouTube chat, but it doesn't go away after the stream. So everything's kind of saved, and you can post pictures. And usually I play music and listen to music and stuff before. So if you guys are interested in that, we do have that. I'll post a link. My moderator bot posts a link to it every once in a while too. So here it goes right here. There's the Discord server link. And no, I have not cleaned my pop filter. It's sitting over here. Guys, when I turn off the stream, I have all these intentions of doing everything, but then I look at it as now I have a week before I have to turn any of this stuff on again, so I just ignore it. And then right when I fire everything up and start getting ready for the stream, you know, today I realize, oh, I should have done this, and oh, I should have done that. It's getting to the point where I got to figure something out because it's starting to turn into something that it's like, ugh. Like, I enjoy doing the stream, but it's just the process of getting ready for it and everything is labor intensive. So I got in here today probably around 1:30 to start getting ready for the stream. And it's 5 o'clock now and we're live. So I'm realizing that it's taken me a lot more time to do show prep and stuff. But in all fairness, I don't do a lick of show prep all throughout the week. The whole prep involves me answering your guys' emails, looking at YouTube comments, because that was the whole point of these live streams. The reason why I started doing them was to start, or give my family more of my time. When I first started my YouTube channel, when I just had a few hundred subscribers, I was so obsessed with everything, and I felt like I had to answer every single comment and respond to them and come up with like a intelligent answer. And and while it basically started to consume me. And I never got a complaint from my wife. I never got a complaint from my kids, but it just really, I felt like I was an ass basically because I was just ignoring everybody. So that was the whole point of doing the live streams was, hey, okay, I'm going to go Monday live and I'm going to consolidate all the questions. Now, in the beginning, when, I had, 1,000 subscribers or whatever, it was really easy to answer all the questions. In fact, I ran out of content usually. Okay. Now the list of questions that I have is ridiculous, and I shouldn't say ridiculous. It's just insane how many questions I get. And unfortunately, I can't get to them all. I try, but I just can't. When you're getting, I don't get like crazy numbers. I probably get, I'd say about 100 to 150 YouTube comments a day. And then emails, I probably get 3 to 5 emails a day. But you do that for a week, and then it just kind of starts getting crazy. But anyways, the first world problems, right? I'm not complaining. It's just one of those things I just got to learn to work around, right? So I really, really appreciate you guys coming in here to hang out with us. Thank you very much for that super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, again, super chats, all that stuff isn't necessary. If you guys feel the need, hey, thank you so very much. But I don't do these, for the revenue. It's always appreciated, but it is what it is. If you guys wanted to support the stream, you're more than welcome. But there's other ways to do it too. Okay, you can support my content via just watch the YouTube commercials. Let YouTube pay me. Okay. But I will say that someone had said something to me last week, and then someone said something to me this week. Apparently, YouTube put an hour-long commercial in one of my videos. It was skippable, but they put an hour-long commercial. That's absolutely ridiculous. And basically, that is YouTube reaching right now for cash. I imagine advertisers are probably, skimping on them a little bit or something like that. But I couldn't believe that when someone told me they put an hour-long commercial. That's nuts. So when it comes to YouTube videos and commercials and different things like that, as a content creator, I actually have control, some control of the commercials. So when I create a YouTube video, one of my normal videos 2 times a week, I have the ability to choose when a commercial pops up, and I have the ability to choose how many commercials. So I think on all of my newer videos, I don't ever do any more than 2 commercials. I usually only do 1 commercial. Because I don't like to watch a video and get like 50 billion ads and that kind of stuff. And in all honesty, to be fair, I have YouTube Red. I know a lot of other people have YouTube Red too. So what that means is I actually don't see commercials anymore. You pay like $5 a month or something like that, and you just don't see commercials. And but anyways, I'm going off on a tangent as usual, but yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy that YouTube put an hour-long commercial in there. That was nuts. And then what happens if you guys, I'll try to remember to fix it. But when this live stream posts, okay, what I did was I clicked the little chingus on there that says monetize. It's like a little scroll bar, like a little button. And I can't choose anything yet until the video posts after the live stream's over. Well, someone will message me and say, hey, dude, there's like 15 commercials in there. And I'll go in there and YouTube will automatically put in like 15 commercials. It's nuts. And then I got to go and delete them all and just break it down to like 1 or 2. Kind of crazy how they do that. But anyways, we're going off on a tangent. The other way I was kind of saying support, the other way that you could potentially support if you guys are interested is go to hvacrvideos.com. There's merch for sale on there. You can also use my offer code with TrueTech Tools, big picture, 1 word, like picture on the wall. 1 word will get you 8% off your order. Okay? So let's get on. We're done with the formalities. Let's get on with the stream. Really, really appreciate everybody. Someone asked in the chat right now, can I make videos more? I'm assuming you mean often. No, I can't actually. So I commit to 2 videos a week, so long as everything goes good. I do videos on Sunday morning. I usually release one, and then Thursday afternoon, I usually release one. Now, every once in a blue moon, I throw up a bonus video. For instance, tomorrow, Tomorrow afternoon, probably posting around 12 p.m. Pacific time, will be a bonus video that I'm going to post. But it's not normal. So I normally only do 2 videos a week. It's just too difficult. My videos, guys, people will email me and they'll say, hey, can you do a video on this? Or hey, you should do a video on this. It doesn't really work that way because I do service call videos. I don't plan my videos per se. Okay, every once in a while I can say, okay, the next time I get an opportunity, I'm going to make a point to film this. I can do that for sure. But I don't go out, and make videos. Like I just go on a service call and I turn my camera on and I start recording my craziness as I talk. I've said this a bunch of times too. You guys, if I didn't have the camera on, I'm not joking with you guys, I would talk to myself the same way as I do with the camera on. That's the way that I troubleshoot things, is to verbally walk through them. Oftentimes I'll be driving down the road having a conversation with myself about a conversation I'm going to have with someone else, like preparing for a conversation. It's kind of crazy. Scott, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that super chat. That is awesome. Z Hunter, awesome. Thank you guys very much. Okay. But no, I don't need the panhandling stuff. I really appreciate it, but it's not needed. I know you're joking, Scott, but now that I got sidetracked, I don't know what I was talking about. I lost my train of thought, but it's all good. We'll go ahead and get on with the show, and we'll start covering some of the questions and different things that I had, okay? So this last week, I had 2 videos that I released. The first one was on the 18th, and it was the walk-in freezer was down for 3 days, okay? Now, in that situation, the customer had called me. They actually put in a service call Saturday morning, I think, or maybe it was Friday afternoon. Whatever it was, I remember seeing it, and it said, our walk-in freezer's down, but we don't want service until Monday. And so I was like, wow, okay, that's a first. So I went ahead and went out there Monday. Greg, thank you very much for that super chat. That's awesome, bud. So I went out there on Monday, and you guys saw the video. Right when I walked up the refrigeration rack, I could hear the compressor going off on internal pressure relief inside the compressor. Oh, Deja Levy. Thank you, dude. That is an amazing super chat, bud. Yes, I will get into winter charge here in a few minutes. Do not let me forget that. I will definitely address it, okay? Actually, I'm going to put it on my list right now. Winter charge for Resi. I will address that right now, okay? So I'll address that here in a little while, but let me get through what I'm doing. So on the walk-in, thank you, guys. You guys, with these super chats with questions in them, those are amazing. They're awesome. I'm going to cover my thing that I'm covering right now, so don't let me forget to answer that, okay? I will definitely get to it. Hold on just a second. I'm going to copy and paste that. And, yeah, I get distracted here. I am not a good multitasker, so I will get this one too. So on the video, when I walked up, the compressor was going off on internal pressure relief, and I already knew what was going on. That is a problematic system. I mentioned it in the video. I've changed the compressor 3 times, and the reason why, this is the 3rd time, but this 3rd time that I changed it, I put that evaporative cooler as a supplemental cooling device, or a pre-cooler for the refrigeration rack, because the last time I changed the compressor, I diagnosed the condenser being undersized, which led to a lot of problems, okay? Here in Southern California, I have a hard time using manual reset high pressure controls, okay? So that was one of the questions that someone said, hey, how come you don't have a manual reset high pressure control on there? Well, the reason why I don't is because I'll get nuisance trips, because we have such high temperature swings. I'll be out there every weekend pushing reset on that manual reset. Now, I realize there's a give and take with that one, because when you have auto reset pressure controls on there, this is the kind of stuff that happens. That condenser was really dirty. The thing had probably been going off on high pressure, auto resetting until the point that the pressure, the internal pressure relief let go and it bypassed, okay? Again, we're seeing a lot of this stuff because of the whole virus and everybody's coming out. Preventative maintenance isn't a big thing right now. It seems like, I mean, I guess I should be thankful, but most of the calls I've been running lately have been cleaning issues. Like today I was cleaning stuff, blowing out drain lines. It's very common, okay? So let's see. In that situation, though, for that walk-in freezer, I did go to the customer and I said, hey, guys, here's the deal. You know, you guys tried to save money, right? It probably would have cost them an extra $200 on top of the normal service call to have me come out and clean that condenser, right? Because it was overtime. But they decided that they wanted to wait. And I told them, I said, guys, you almost ruined that compressor. And that would have cost you like, what, $4 to $6 grand, somewhere in there. I go to save $200 because you didn't want to spend overtime. That's crazy. Let alone they had a walk-in freezer sitting at 30-something degrees all weekend. Like, that's just nuts, guys. And, you know, but this is what's happening more and more in the restaurants. This is how it's going down. We just have to learn to deal with it. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but... All right, so the next video that I released was a walk-in cooler that was iced up, and that was the one where the door was literally missing. Now, I was told, like the day before I got there to work on it, they said we just had someone come out and welded it. It was one of the cook's friends, okay, right? That sounds really good. One of the cook's friends came out and welded the door, and it was a mess. What they did to it, too, was ridiculous. They welded a pin back on it so it can pivot, and they welded it crooked. It was just a joke. It was stupid. But anyways, I had to defrost the system. You guys saw the electrical room. That's something that everybody gets triggered on when they see these electrical rooms. How come you don't call fire department, code enforcement, la-da-da? Guys, I can't call code enforcement or the fire department on my restaurants. I would never do work for that customer again. And if you think that's horrible, I see that all the time. Like every day, every restaurant has a bunch of crap packed into a mechanical room or an electrical room, or they put shelves in front of electrical panels. That's just how restaurants work, and it's just a pain in the butt, but you just have to learn to deal with it. Obviously, I'm not going to ever let myself get into a situation where it's extremely dangerous. If I had to go into that electrical room and change motor starters or do something, you guys saw how twisted those motor starters were up on the wall too. Like, that's a joke. But if I ever had to change those, then yes, I would have the customer remove everything from that box. So I'm drinking hot tea tonight because I was born again over the weekend, and I'm not going to drink for a while. Let's just say that. I had my butt handed to me Friday. After the overtime show, we had friends at our house, right? HVAC overtime show, guys. Let's give them a plug. One of the overtime guys, go ahead and post the link inside there. But I'm on the overtime show on Friday. I always drink a couple beers on the show, having a good time, and I was kind of had a nice little thing going on when I left the show, but we happened to have friends at our house, and then we sat and we were hanging out in the backyard. Their kids were here. You know, the kids were all playing around the house in the yard, and my wife and I and our friends, yeah, we drank way too much, and I felt miserable all day Saturday. It's one of those, like, I'm never going to drink again moments. Like, oh, good gosh. So it's going to be a couple weeks. So tonight I'm drinking hot tea to keep my voice from getting all twisted up. All right. So I'm going to get to the chat questions real quick, guys. Let me see. So winter charge. Someone had asked me to explain winter charge. Okay, so winter charge is a vague term for the flooded charge that the system needs when you have a head pressure control valve. It's mainly for refrigeration systems, but sometimes you'll see it on built-up air conditioning systems. But absolutely, is it not needed on a residential system, okay? So what we have is we have a head pressure control valve in its simplest form. I'll grab one back here. Couple different things back here, but we have a head pressure control valve, or an LAC valve. You'll see it in a refrigeration system, okay? Again, you do not have to worry about these on residential systems. You will only see these on like server room air conditioners and or built-up air conditioning systems for like supermarkets and big giant industrial places. You're typically only going to see that valve. That's a small one. They make much bigger ones. But the purpose of that valve is to maintain a pressure differential across this expansion valve. The winter charge, we call it the winter charge, but you're not actually removing and adding refrigerant, okay? The system holds the winter charge all year long, or the flooded charge, okay? So it's not something that I'm removing in the summer, adding in the winter. I know some people did that way in the past, but we don't do that anymore because our systems are typically built up for it, okay? So it's just the refrigerant needed, because when this valve starts to bypass, this valve will bypass when it gets really cold outside to maintain head pressure in the system. That's the easiest way to explain it. This valve maintains a head pressure because as it gets really cold outside and our refrigeration equipment is still running, then the head pressure in the system that is affected by the ambient temperature, right, is going to drop. And when the head pressure drops, the expansion valve, again, this is a lot of old school technology. Older expansion valves had an issue when we had and that valve just broke into pieces. But older expansion valves had an issue when the pressure differential wasn't exact across the valve. Newer valves aren't so critical with the pressure differential anymore. Okay, but it still does matter, and I'll have to put that expansion valve back together later as shit is falling apart. So when the temperature drops, the valve starts to flood, but when it starts to flood, what it does is it actually backs up refrigerant in the condenser, and it's the same effect as putting a piece of cardboard in front of the condenser and not allowing airflow through it, okay, so your head pressure's driven up. Same concept, but this is a little bit nicer on the system. So that is the winter charge. The winter charge is the added refrigerant we need to flood that condenser in the wintertime. When it's not being used, it's just simply stored in the receiver. It's not taken out of the system, okay? Hopefully that answers your question. We're not going to go too much more in depth into that because not a lot of people are dealing with those right now. But absolutely, on a residential system, you do not need a winter charge, okay? No. And don't let people fool you. You shouldn't have to add refrigerant to a heat pump system and remove it seasonally, okay? Something's wrong if you're having to add refrigerant and remove it, okay? All right, let's get on with the next question. On a piston AC system, do you charge to correct superheat or correct head pressure for SEER rating? There are times superheat is good, but head pressure is low. Okay, so on a piston-driven system, okay, your superheat is calculated by your indoor wet bulb temperature. Your outdoor air temperature too. So you're going to use target superheat, okay? Target superheat is a number that is going to change as your indoor conditions and outdoor conditions change. So it's very important you understand that, okay? So as far as your head pressure being low, what tells you that your head pressure is low? What I would highly suggest you do to help you to understand some systems is download the Measure Quick app, okay? Measure Quick on any of the app stores. Download that app. Even if you don't have smart Bluetooth gauges and different things like that, it will work with just simply typing in the pressures, and it will help you to diagnose the system. Now, personally, I don't use Measure Quick to completely do all the diagnostics for me, but it is really nice to have all the information at your fingertips, okay? While I'm at that, one of the questions that I had, let me answer this one. Hughesman HVAC, you said, so I only need winter charge with a head pressure control valve and not a fan cycle switch. That is absolutely correct. The extra refrigerant needed to flood the condenser due to a head pressure control valve and or an OROA valve, there's all kinds of different head pressure control valves, is only needed the flooded charge with that valve. If you have a fan cycling control, it does not take any more refrigerant. But I will preface that with saying what I propose you do. Fan cycle controls are not my favorite, okay? And the reason why is because they're very violent on the system. So if you have a single condenser fan motor, I work on a lot of walk-in coolers for smaller restaurants, right? So if you have a single condenser fan motor that has a fan cycle switch on it, in the wintertime, when that fan cycles off and then turns back on and then turns off and then turns back on to maintain head pressure, look at your sight glass, and what you're going to see your sight glass drain, and then you're going to see it fill up, and then drain, and then fill up, and it's going to be a vicious cycle. Well, guess what? It's feeding that refrigerant that's all messed up, right? Liquid, not liquid, liquid, not liquid, down to the expansion valve, and the expansion valve's struggling. So it's important that you understand fan cycle controls can be kind of violent in the system. Now, your system can still work, but it's going to kind of confuse people. They're going to think that it's low on charge when maybe it's not actually low on charge. But you do not need extra refrigerant when you have a fan cycling control. No, okay? All right, let me get back to this question right here. I don't know why I got distracted anyways, but Greg had a question from the Discord server. Greg had asked me, and there's a place in the Discord server to ask me questions for the live streams, guys. So Greg had asked me what certifications I have, and if I had an OSHA 10 cert, an OSHA 30 cert. Okay, so Greg, I do not have any OSHA certifications. I do not have 10. I do not have 30. The only certifications I have is the Universal EPA Section 608 certification that allows me federally to buy and purchase refrigerant and work on, refrigeration systems, essentially. And I have some NATE certifications. I have I think a heat pump NATE certification and a light commercial refrigeration NATE certification. And when you get the heat pump one, you get all the air conditioning crap and all that stuff too. But Those are the only certifications that I have. I would love to have more certifications, and I'm going to go ahead and step on this soapbox that I have right now too and talk about certifications. So someone had asked in one of the Facebook groups, I don't know if it was a comment to me or if it was just a comment in general, someone had asked a question about certifications. Here's my opinion on certifications. NATE, ESCO, RSES, all these different certifications, okay? Just because you have a paper that says you're certified doesn't mean you know anything, okay? It means that you can pass a test. That's all it means, okay? But the cool thing about certifications is that to maintain those certifications, you have to continue your education, okay? If someone comes up to my door asking for a job, let's just say I have two guys asking for a job. One of them has NATE certifications, one of them has an RSES certification, whatever, and the other one doesn't have anything. The guy that has certifications, I'm probably going to spend a little bit more time looking at his resume. I may not hire him yet because he's still, just because he has one doesn't mean he's better, but it's going to make me take a second look at his resume, okay? Because it means that he took the time to take a test and he took the time to maintain that certification by doing continuing education, okay? So any certification is better than none, but a certification does not make you an amazing technician. It just means that you can pass a test, okay? So you have to be a good people person. You have to be a good troubleshooter. Certifications certainly help and everything, okay? So, but I'm a believer in certifications. You know, some people aren't. Frankie, thank you very much for that super chat. Let me see. It says you have a 1-ton Train Classic unit. You just had a tech come in and tell you that because your compressor is high on amps and have a bad TXV, would I condemn the unit? Frankie, there's a lot of meat there. There's a lot that goes into that comment. Depending on the age of your system, it may be smart to condemn the system, okay? But ask for a quote to repair it. Now, here's the thing. Don't just look at one quote. Go get 2 more quotes, okay? But don't expect free quotes from everybody because I don't do free quotes. If someone calls me out, I'm a commercial guy though, but I don't do free quotes. So if a customer says, hey, I just had a company come in here and tell me that I needed a new compressor and I don't trust them. Can you come out and look at it? Certainly can, but I'm going to bill them for all my time to go out there and diagnose it. So don't expect a free quote from someone. If you're getting free quotes, more than likely you're getting sales pitches. So companies that do free quotes, and I don't mean to stomp on anybody's toes or anything like that, okay? But companies that advertise, they do free quotes. That's an in the door. That's to get their foot in the door so that way they can quote repairs, okay, and or replacement. So just keep that in mind. I'm not saying they're a bad company, but just keep that in mind. Okay, there's companies out there that fix things. There's companies out there that simply just replace things. Your system very well may need to be replaced. Depending on the refrigerant, how old it is, it very well might need to be replaced. And it might be a smart decision, okay? But there's a lot of factors that go into that. What's the cost to repair it right now? Are the parts going to be readily available tomorrow? Does it have any potentials for leaks? You know, all kinds of things, on and on and on. So there's a lot of information in there that we don't know that makes it a little bit difficult for me to talk about your specific situation, Frankie, okay? But I would highly suggest that you get a couple different quotes and just ask people's opinion, okay? And then make a decision. Let me see what else we got. Okay, so I'm going to get to my list of things here. Okay, Serge had asked me in the Discord server about starting a business. This was actually a really good question. So he feels that he's a great technician. He's not bragging, but he's just saying, you know what? He goes, I'm a good technician. I know what I'm doing, but he's considering starting his own business. But the problem is he has absolutely no idea about business, and he wants to know where he can learn more about running a business, okay? Tariq, I think that is your name. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Thank you very much for that super chat, man. That is awesome, okay? So, Serge, okay, I talk about people all the time, and I get these messages from people that says, you know, that already started a business, and they say, how do I figure out how much to charge? I feel like I'm charging too low, all this different stuff, okay? So before you start a business, I am certainly not an expert on business ownership, okay? I run a business with my father. My father started the business 25 years ago, and I've been slowly getting into the position where my dad wants to leave tomorrow, but I won't let him, okay? So my dad is ready to retire, but I'm not ready for him to retire. With that being said, if I was to start a business today, here's how I would approach it. First off, you need to come up with a financial business plan, okay? I would highly, highly suggest that you do not go into debt to start up a business, especially nowadays, okay? I am not a fan of debt my personal opinion, okay? I know that there's a bunch of guys on Facebook right now that look like the best business people in the world, and their businesses are booming, and they're opening locations everywhere, and they're buying service trucks everywhere, and they make HVAC business look so great. But then guess what? As they're posting all that stuff, there's several different people out there doing it. Every one of them, right? They're like, oh yeah, I'm doing so great. I've got all these trucks. I'm hiring all these people. I'm opening up a separate shop and all this different stuff, and I'm killing it, right? They're going on all kinds of crazy stuff. That's as far as I'm going to go about that. But every one of them is also on the side saying, hey, guess what? I'll train you how to deal with a business like mine. I'll train you how to build my business up. I'll do training. I'll sell you this. I'll come to your shop and I'll teach you how to be a salesman and all this different stuff, okay? Be cautious, okay? Those people on social media that make business look so easy and so awesome, they're lying to you. Business is not easy. Business is brutal, okay? When you start getting a few employees, I run a small business, very small, and it's a stressful thing. There's days, guys, that I want to go work for someone else. I've seriously considered it in the past, okay? When things were really, really dark and I was having a bad time with business, I wanted to go work for someone. That's how bad it gets sometimes. I'm not saying everybody's business is that way, but don't let those people on social media make you think that it's all, ooh, it's awesome, it's amazing, it's so cool, you're going to make money hand over fist. Especially if you're starting a business in California. If you're starting a business in California, you need to just hand your money to the government. That's a whole nother thing, okay? But the first thing, financial plan. Again, going off on a tangent. Financial plan. Talk to your CPA. You need to find a good CPA. You need to sit down. You need to discuss things with them and come up with a financial business plan with what your plans are, where you're going to get the money from, where's your startup capital coming from, how much money do you have saved up, are you leveraging your life to start your business, okay? I highly don't suggest you do that. Don't take a mortgage out on your house that your family lives in, because guess what? If the business fails tomorrow, who's going to pay for your house and where's your family going to live? So be very careful about starting up with massive amounts of debt. That's my biggest suggestion to everybody, okay? There's several different groups of people out there that help to train. I would highly suggest looking up your local small business association or the SBA. They have local regional groups that help you with business. So for instance, when I was doing my video stuff, right, I set a business up for this videos thing right here. And I reached out to the SBA and I said, look, it's been a long time. I'm setting up a business. What am I forgetting here, right? They're just another set of eyes. They're not getting involved in your financials, but they're just giving you advice. Hey, here's the easiest way to set up this. Here's the person you want to talk to set up this. You need to figure all that stuff out, okay? I don't suggest just jumping in there and going to business tomorrow, because you're going to get your ass handed to you, especially if you live in a state like California where we have all kinds of laws and rules. So I know I didn't give you much confidence in the whole business thing, but you need to do some research, and certainly you need to understand that there could be some bad sides to business too, okay? Right now with the COVID thing going on, it's sketchy, guys. You know, it's very scary, because there's some businesses that, you know, like for instance, on the residential side, you think, hey, I'm going to open up a residential company and I'm going to sell equipment, you know, go try to find residential equipment right now. There's a massive equipment shortage, right? First off, a lot of the factories have shut down because of the virus. But then on top of that, the salesmen out there are killing it right now, and they're selling equipment like crazy, to the point that people are having a hard time getting equipment. It's insane, guys. I saw another super chat come through. Thank you very much for that. Let me see right there. Frankie Dixon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did answer that one. Okay, cool. So, yeah, be cautious and do some research, okay? Hopefully I'm not just shitting on your parade right now, but it's tough, okay? So be cautious about that. All right, let me get to the chat right now and look at Daniel Gaming. Thank you very much for that super chat. All right. Business in California sucks. That's right. Thoughts on new OSHA ladder safety requirements? Honestly, I'm not up to date on the new OSHA ladder safety requirements, and it's probably something I need to look into. I'm sure that there's some new rule that says the ladder has to be anchored into the concrete with 72-inch lag screws, and it has to have anchor points every 4 feet, and you probably have to have a crane as a backup to grab onto your safety harness just in case you fall off the ladder. That way the crane can catch you. I'm sure that's what the new OSHA requirement is, but I'll have to look into that. I haven't seen it yet, though, for real. joking aside. Let's see what else. Thoughts on Carrier's new blowers, Mr. Green. So I have seen some interesting stuff on social media about Carrier's, they call it their Eco Blue technology, I think is what it is. And it's a giant axial blower, ECM blower, basically. I'm kind of scared of them. I do not want to talk crap on anything, but I work in a lot of nasty restaurants. You guys see them. Well, I shouldn't say nasty, but greasy restaurants. And the kitchen ACs are usually covered in grease. The blower wheels are covered in grease. The blower assemblies are covered in grease. And I could just imagine a giant axial fan motor covered in grease. How are you going to clean that? That's my only concern with those new blowers. It's very interesting, though. So, what is a bypassing compressor on a walk-in cooler? John Deere fan. So that was my video that I released last week. And inside the compressor is an internal pressure relief that basically will let the discharge gas and the suction gas equalize within the compressor. Even though the compressor's still running, there's a little chingus in there that opens up whenever the pressure differential gets to be too high and allows the pressure to equalize out, so that way the compressor doesn't implode on itself. So there's an internal pressure relief device. One of these days, I think I have a video, I don't know if I ever released it or not, where I cut apart a scroll compressor and I show that internal pressure relief. It's literally just like a little snap disc, and it lifts up and allows the pressure to bypass. All right, let me see what else. Oh, you're right. Fly, Eagles, fly. You know what? We can't have a crane because the cables have lead in them and they would cause, yeah, you are absolutely right. So it wouldn't be a crane. So, okay, well, I'm sure the new OSHA requirement is going to require something different then. So, have I ever come across fractionation on R404A? I absolutely cannot say that I have ever seen fractionation on any refrigerant. In my opinion, there's been several times where I've been questionable about different things. Okay. 404A has a very low fractionation rate. It's almost impossible to make the gas fractionate, even if you vent vapor. I mean, I don't suggest doing it, but it's always charged in a liquid, but it's very, very hard to get fractionation with it. Okay. But with, see, I see lots of good questions coming through, but I don't want to. So with the fractionation, I've never seen it, but there's been many times where I've been questionable about the refrigerant. Like, hey, the system's just not operating the way that it should be, so I'll just recover the charge and start fresh. I've done that many times, but majority of the time, I honestly don't think it was fractionation. I think that it was people mixing refrigerants. So I've worked in restaurants a lot where second companies come in behind you, and I've heard excuses from people. Well, I didn't have any 404 and I had 134, so I figured it would work. You know, I've heard those excuses from other companies. In fact, I've done some repair calls where I used to work for a hospital customer and they called me out saying, hey, our walk-in cooler's not working, a giant walk-in cooler. And I go out there and they said, yeah, it had a leak over the weekend and he topped off the charge. And I go up on the roof and it's an R22 walk-in cooler, mind you. And there's a drum of R502 sitting right next to it, a 50-pound drum and a set of gauges. And I'm like, did he put 502 in this? Oh, I don't know. But it's just operating really weird. So I removed all the refrigerant, recovered it all, and then charged it with virgin refrigerant and ran fine. So, you know, I've come across it a lot, but I don't think it's fractionation that I've run into. Have I ever... Okay, so I already answered that one. How do I use my videos to train? Do I ever show customers the videos? I don't really make a big deal to show my customers my videos, okay? They're not really meant for them. I don't use them as evidence or anything like that. But I use the videos for my own technicians, okay? The whole point of my YouTube channel, when I first started YouTube, the first two videos, if you go back, the very first two videos on my channel right now, okay? One of them was a beer walk-in. I honestly don't remember the second video, but the beer walk-in, the fuses were blown, and the second video, whatever it was, those two videos were meant for my employees. They weren't meant for the public. When I did this whole YouTube thing, it was literally, I never planned on it turning into what it did, and I never planned on making the videos public. I was very nervous to do it, and I was anxious that I was going to get a lot of crap talked about me and that kind of stuff. And I finally hit the public button, and wow, what happened is insane. But so my videos are used to train my employees all the time. Now, my videos are not meant to, you know, I'm not a DIY channel, and I don't ever want to replace a trade school or a proper apprenticeship. The whole point of my videos is to share the little bit of knowledge that I have, my little tagline, right? And to try to keep you from doing the same things I did that screwed stuff up. I want to share my mistakes. I do the same thing with my employees. Sometimes it'll probably come across in my videos because it's like, hey, do it like this. I'm not telling you have to do it that way. I'm actually talking to my employees when you hear me being direct. So thank you very much for that super chat that just came through, Matt. That's awesome, bud. It says, replace the compressor on a 20-ton RTU and it's tripping high head and there's oil full in the liquid line. Header plugged or over full on oil. You didn't add any extra oil besides the refrigerant. Okay, so I have heard of situations where oil will get logged and it'll basically blow out of the compressor and it'll get logged in the liquid line and different things like that. So if the system will run, then so be it. But if it won't run, what you can do is you might just have to start cutting the system up and blowing the oil out. But I would highly suggest trying to run the system. You can do a couple different things. I've honestly never been very successful at doing this to try to get oil to return, but I've heard other people tell me otherwise. You could do things like turning off the condenser fan motors, drive up the head pressure, push crap through the system. You could do things, move, turn off the evaporator fan, different things. But you got to be very careful and know what you're doing because you can really screw some stuff up too. In that situation, though, if I can't keep the system running, I'm probably going to have to start cutting some stuff up and draining oil out of certain situations. Crankcase heaters are very important. Make sure that they're running. Crankcase heaters definitely need to be working because they can cause some serious oil problems, okay? Oftentimes what can happen is you can have, without a crankcase heater there, you can have refrigerant leave the compressor. The liquid refrigerant will go somewhere else, and when you start it up, it'll slug the compressor and come back to the compressor. It can wash oil out of the compressor. It can wreak havoc on the systems. So you want to make sure that your crankcase heaters are definitely working. Do I have any compressor cutaways? Greg asks. No, I have some. I think I have a video or two where I cut them up, but no, I don't have any professional cutaways. There's definitely some on the internet. Okay, cool. Mr. Hamster 2004. How does the Hvacr condenser coil cleaner I use work on cottonwood? Okay, so first off, there's a couple different types of Hvacr condenser coil cleaner. You have the yellow pack. We're talking about the Venom packs. And you have the blue pack, okay? The blue pack is basically identical to the other blue cleaners out on the market that other manufacturers have. It is corrosive. It will etch the coil, the blue stuff, okay? It will eat away everything that it touches. Be very careful about it. The yellow cleaner is absolutely metal safe. It will not harm a single thing. It is just essentially soap. So in that situation, the best thing when you're cleaning condenser coils is water. Open up the coils, flush from the inside out, clean all the big debris off first. Then, if you have to, use cleaner and decide which cleaner you're going to use. If you're going to use the yellow Venom pack, if it's a very greasy condenser in my situation, because I deal with restaurants, you're probably going to need to do a couple passes of the Venom coil cleaner, okay? If you're going to use the blue stuff, it's going to eat whatever it needs to touch away. It's a high foaming condenser coil cleaner. It will work really well, just like the other blue cleaners that you see out on the market, okay? The biggest thing that I want to stress about the Refrigeration Technologies cleaners is that they are safe, guys, especially the yellow stuff, right? They're safe. They're not going to eat a hole in your foot, okay? And you're going to use a lot less cleaner, right? If you buy the Refrigeration Technologies coil gun, which I kind of jumped on board with that recently, I've been using the hell out of it. The Refrigeration Technologies coil gun actually uses less cleaner. So I find that you have that Venom pack. That Venom pack will actually do like, I think it's 8 gallons or something. I'll usually get about 5 to 6 out of it because I run a little bit rich on my concentration. But if you think about it, that little pack right there, you get 5 to 6 gallons of cleaner out of it is what I use because I mix it kind of thick. So it's amazing and it saves a lot of space. That's why I like it. I can put 2 of them in a bucket and it does a whole roof and I'm good to go. But I haven't done any cottonwood myself, but I know that the blue cleaner would do fine on cottonwood. So, all right. Going back to crankcase heaters, you've been told numerous times that here in SoCal, they're not needed. What is my opinion on that? No, crankcase heaters are definitely needed in Southern California. You need them for sure. Okay. Depending on what you're working on, a crankcase heater still serves a purpose. A crankcase heater is not there for when it's -10 outside. Okay. Crankcase heaters will help the system no matter what. They're not going to hurt it at all. Okay. Have to be careful on the residential side, guys. I'm going to explain something to you guys you may not know. All right. On the residential side, typically the compressors don't have crankcase heaters. Okay. Let's just say a standard scroll compressor in a 5-ton carrier package unit on the side of someone's house. Typically do not have crankcase heaters, okay? But what they do, if you notice that the contactor is not a 2-pole contactor, it's a shunt contactor, right? So one pole, so basically one leg is always energized. Line 1 or line 2 is always energized to that compressor, and they're only disconnecting one line. That's acting as a semi-quasi crankcase heater by keeping the windings warm. I honestly, the magic of how it works kind of still baffles me, but that's the purpose. That's why when you see a residential system that has a funky looking contactor on it and only one side is disconnected, the other one's kind of basically jumping right over, that's for crankcase heater purposes. Okay, so they're not running a dedicated crankcase heater. So if you go and throw on a standard 2-pole contactor on there, you're actually doing the customer a disservice if you don't put on an actual physical crankcase heater on it. Okay, so be very careful about that and understand that's the whole point of why you see that single pole contactor on a 208 single phase system, is because it's acting as a crankcase heater to keep the windings warmed up. Okay, just like if you actually put a belly band wrapped crankcase heater around it. But yeah, you definitely need them. Okay, now, have I seen systems run without crankcase heaters for years and years at a time? Sure, I have. But the moment that you have a problem with oil leaving that compressor, you're going to wish you had that crankcase heater on there. So just put them on there. It's simple. All right. Is Overtime ever going to be on Apple Podcasts? That's a great question. Adam, is Overtime ever going to be on the Apple Podcast app? He's probably, I've heard in things that I read that it takes forever to get approved by Apple. So, all right, let's see what else. What Viper cleaner that's all purpose for evap, condenser, and cabinet? Okay, so very important to understand. Viper makes a evaporator cleaner too. It's the green bag, okay? Viper also makes a all-purpose cleaner. That's a purple cleaner. And then they make the blue and the yellow in the Venom packs. Now, the yellow is actually safe to use on an evaporator, but there's some things that their actual green evaporator coil cleaner does that the yellow doesn't do. The yellow is actually okay to use, though. It's not going to make corrosive smells. It's not going to scare the customer out of there. It's going to clean. But the actual evaporator cleaner works a little bit different. It foams a little bit more, and I noticed that it actually cleans the grime away a little bit better when it comes to the evaporator. And I believe it has some, not sanitizer in it, but it has some properties that help to clean the coil internally also. Now, Viper also makes a sanitizer. It's called a strike back sanitizer. I've been using that a lot lately. So when you're done cleaning an evaporator, you spray it down with the sanitizer. You have to pre-mix it, and it's just kind of a peace of mind thing. So that way you kill any viruses that you potentially put on that coil. Does a bad evaporator fan motor cause the coil to ice up on a walk-in cooler? No, the bad evaporator fan motor is not the actual cause of the iced up coil, but it will ice up if a fan motor goes bad. Okay, so if you think about it, the refrigeration system is going to continue to run and there's no airflow across it. Okay, so I guess it does cause it. I was kind of trying to be an ass when I said that, but yes, if you have a bad evaporator fan motor, it can cause your system ice up. But the reason why it's happening is because you don't have airflow across the coil, okay? And the coil is going to continue to run and get cold. You have to have that heat transfer to keep the ice from forming on the coil is the whole point. So yes, it does cause an iced up situation. If you ever have a bad evaporator fan motor and you need to replace it or you're going to get one, if you're going to leave it running, block off that evaporator fan motor if it's like a 3-fan or a 2-fan, so that way it can run a little bit longer without icing up as fast. Dennis Slusher, thank you so very much for that super chat, man. That is awesome. It says you've finished an electrical mechanical training program from RSI in Phoenix, and you feel you need more experience. Would apprenticeship be good? You're 29. Well, of course. An apprenticeship is the best way to go about it. Unfortunately, a lot of people right now are looking for a tech that can hit the ground running, and you need to be very careful because there's a lot of businesses out there that will hire you from trade school, pay you $30 an hour, and throw you in a truck and send you to the wolves. I don't feel that that's the best way to go about it. I feel like you need to work underneath someone and learn the do and the do not things and work your way up into that $30 an hour technician range, okay? So, yeah, I definitely think an apprenticeship is definitely worth it. Whether you go union or not, you just need to get hired on with the company with someone that is willing to train. Very important. All right, let me get to my list of questions here. What are my thoughts on salvaged systems? Would I consider installing one? Would I recommend it? So this was a Discord question, and someone had said that their contractor is saying that they have a system they can sell them. It's a used air conditioning system, and it was working when they pulled it out of the system, and it should be fine. Well, in that question alone, when your contractor said, hey, I have a system that was working when I pulled it out, the fact that he said that is kind of a disclaimer. He's saying it was working when I pulled it out, so it should be fine. Should. Okay? He's not giving you a guarantee. If you buy a brand new unit, you are going to get a warranty that says this unit will work. That's it. And then the contractor that installs it is going to warranty his work. Okay? So if you're buying a used system, if you're paying that contractor to install a used system, is he giving you a warranty? Is he guaranteeing that the system is going to work? Is he guaranteeing that tomorrow the condenser fan motor doesn't go bad? I don't know. I'm not a fan of used equipment. I don't sell used equipment. I won't install used equipment. I don't even harvest motors to put in temporarily, okay? I don't do that. So I'm not a fan of used equipment. I suggest if you made the decision and or if it died and you don't want to repair it, that you replace it with brand new, okay? My personal opinion. Do I educate the customers on how and why they should clean their equipment? And this is in thoughts with my videos where it's all nasty in the restaurant and, you know, things are smelly and drain lines are plugged up. Of course, I tell the customer, hey, you know what? You really should consider having us do a preventative maintenance, but that usually goes to deaf ears. I work for corporate restaurants where the general manager on duty really has no say in me working in that restaurant. I'm usually hired by the corporate office. So I'd be better talking to the corporate office, and the corporate office understands, like right now, my customers aren't doing preventative maintenances really. They know why. I mean, they're broke basically, and they're trying to survive. And they know that by not doing preventative maintenances, you know, the filters are going to plug up and the air conditioners are going to lose compressors. They know it. They're just kind of taking a gamble and crossing their fingers that they don't lose too many compressors. Okay. So of course I try to educate my customers, but there's also so much you can do. Understanding the market right now with this whole virus and knowing what's going on, most of the customers are taking a gamble. They're not going to clean. They're not going to maintain. They're just going to hope and cross their fingers that they don't lose too many. And we're going to have to go out and fix everything. So it's kind of good in a weird way. Okay, so YouTube comments that I had. In my video from 525, the other company couldn't figure this one out either, and that was the one where it was a walk-in freezer that they had a bunch of problems. It kept icing up. They changed fan motors, a board, all kinds of crap up on the roof. They totally botched the install. The question is, did I take my video and show it to the customers so that they could sue that other company? No. How come I didn't name the company on my videos? Because that's not my business, okay? How come I didn't tell the customer, you know, everything and say, oh my gosh, they screwed you. They did all this different stuff? Because that's not my business. Okay. I don't like to talk crap on people. The customer knows that after I got done fixing it, theoretically, they weren't going to have very many more problems after that. Okay. Other than normal wear and tear. Now, you know, I really don't want to talk crap. I'm not a person that goes out talking bad about other people. Of course, I mean, it's shown in my video in a weird way, but I made sure that I hid the other company. I will say, though, that I know the other company watches my videos. Several of their technicians watch them, so they know. They know that they made a mistake on that one. But I'm not there to throw the customer or throw the other companies under the bus. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not a shit-talking person at all. So, HVACR Wiz, thank you very much for that GOAT super chat. I really appreciate it. Super sticker or whatever. I like the little goat emoji. Great question that I had. So what temperature controller, well, there's actually a couple great ones here. So what temperature controller for walk-in coolers, okay, do I use and do I like people to use? So this is a customer that wants to get a new temperature controller replaced. I don't know if it's a contractor or a customer, and they want to know what brand they should go with. Okay. I can't guarantee what you need to do. If you are a customer, right, and you have a contractor that works for you, I'd highly suggest you talk to your contractor because it's what he's comfortable using. I prefer to use for a walk-in cooler with air defrost the Key to Therm Temp Plus Defrost controller. It's a very easy control to use. It has built-in defrost. You install it downstairs with the solenoid valve, and you can also wire it in for internet connectivity if you want. You can have a Key to Therm, a Wi-Fi Chingus that you add to it so you can access it from your smartphone. You can have it send alerts, all kinds of fancy stuff. Key to Therm It's called KE2, okay, but Ketatherm. They have a bunch of different temperature controllers. They have evap efficiency controllers for walk-in coolers. They're really cool. They have, I think I have a video, guys, that I released of me. Well, I have a couple where I've done the Ketatherm Temp Plus defrost. I mean, the evap efficiency controller on a walk-in freezer, and I show myself accessing it on my laptop. But then I also have one where I installed an evap efficiency controller of all things on a 2-door stand-up refrigerator that I have in my garage, the propane one that I was doing the experiment on. Yeah, I still have that in my garage. And I have an evap efficiency controller on it. One of these days, I'll pull up the dashboard and show it in the live stream. But you can see all the defrost and all this different stuff. It's way overkill for my thing. I just had an extra one and figured I'd use it. But I like the Ketatherm products. I got no affiliation with them, but they've done me really good. So I would highly suggest anything Ketatherm. So far, they've done really well. This is a great question. So Landon works with an old timer. This came in on YouTube, okay? And the old timer, he had to tell me that this guy's an old school technician. He doesn't use anything digital. He doesn't believe in digital. And when he's working with them, what Landon told me in the comment was, the old timer told him that when you're working on low temp systems, that you have to let the evacuation happen for 24 hours. So you have to let the vacuum pump run for 24 hours on low temp. And Landon is asking me, what are my opinions on that? Okay. So is the old school technician wrong in saying that? Yes and no. Okay. But why did he say that? Okay, the old school technician came from a time when we didn't have really cool tools that we can use. All right. Evacuation was not very efficient, okay? We evacuated through a compound manifold set, right? A standard gauge set that had 3 hoses on it. It had a yellow, a blue, and a red. And each one of those hoses was 1/4 inch, okay? And it does not have very good flow through it. And on the end of that hose is a Schrader depressor. And then on the other end of the system is a Schrader that you push to access the system. Oh, okay, cool. Right on. Dennis Slusher, thank you very much, okay? Prepper Chris 1, thank you so very much for that super chat, man. So with the evacuations, the Schrader ports are very restrictive, okay? So the old school technicians, they didn't know any better, right? The technology was there, but it wasn't easy to use. We didn't have educational resources. We didn't have YouTube videos to make an evacuation super easy. So we basically used to pull evacuations for 24 hours, okay? Because we didn't use micron gauges. They were around, but they were analog, and we didn't use them very much. And it was just kind of a gamble. If we let that vacuum pump run for 24 hours, the vacuum should be good when we get back, okay? So is he wrong? Yes and no, okay? He's using an old school mentality today. And actually, if you guys, the video that I'm going to release tomorrow, spoiler alert, shows an evacuation process. It shows some quick tips for doing an evacuation and a recovery. And the key to doing a fast recovery and a fast evacuation is your hoses, actually, guys. You can buy the biggest vacuum pump or recovery machine in the world, but if you have 1/4 inch hoses on it, you're limiting yourself. If you leave the Schraders in the system, you're limiting yourself. You're creating restrictions and you're making it harder. I can pull a very efficient vacuum, even using a manifold set, by simply just doing one thing. Putting the process hose, the yellow hose, coming out of the manifold, going into the recovery machine, making it 3/8. And then the same thing, coming out of the recovery machine, going to the recovery tank, making it 3/8. When I'm doing my evacuation, right, I'm going to use my True Blue hoses, which have a 3/4 inch inside diameter, guys. That's the inside of the hose, is 3/4 of an inch. The flow through the True Blue hoses is amazing. And I can pull an evacuation in no time, okay? The system is actually the limiting factor when I pull most of my evacuations, because my systems are small. They have small little valves in them and all kinds of things like that. So my hose, right, you know, the old timer setup, as the old timer, his limiting factor is his manifold set, his hoses, and the Schraders, okay? And maybe the vacuum pump. But I would argue that the vacuum pump probably is being limited by the hoses, okay? That's the biggest factor. But in my situation, when I use the True Blue hoses, the hoses are no longer the limiting factor whatsoever, okay? The system is the limiting factor in my case. There's some factors out there. I don't have the numbers in my head, but I want to say that, gosh, I'm probably going to butcher this right now. Just go search up Jim Bergman and evacuation best practices or something like that. And he's got some pretty cool videos. And you can even look up Appion. They've got some pretty cool videos too. I'm a Field Piece fan, but anyways. I want to say it's like 1 CFM is if you pull a vacuum through for a 1/4-inch hose, I believe that you're only getting 1 CFM or less of pull through that hose. So it doesn't matter if you have a 10 CFM pump. If you're hooking it up to a 1/4-inch hose, you're limited by that hose now, okay? So is the old timer wrong? Yes and no, okay? He can certainly use some new school technology to come make his life so much easier. And he can no longer have to guess at a 24-hour recovery. And he can put a micron gauge in the proper place in the system. And he can pull evacuation in probably an hour or so and know that it came down to proper evacuation levels and it passes a decay test and it's, you know, leak free. Okay. But remember something, everything leaks. Okay. And I believe even in a lot of Jim Bergman's videos that he does with AccuTools and different things, he'll even preface that with saying nothing is leak free. Even the best system that's all brazed in line sets still has micro leaks in it. Okay. All right. Ignoring the chat for a minute. Let me answer this last question on my list and then I can talk about other things. So phase rotation. This was another YouTube comment that I had. How do I check phase rotation? Okay, phase rotation. When you have a 3-phase system, there is an actual order that those wires need to be hooked up for proper phase rotation. Now, if you're dealing with a scroll compressor and or a blower wheel driven by a 3-phase motor, phase rotation is imperative. If you're dealing with a reciprocating compressor that has pistons in it, for the most part, phase rotation is not as important because it doesn't matter which piston goes up first, pistons pump. But on a scroll compressor, it's got to turn in a certain direction, and if it's not turning in a certain direction, the scroll compressor is not going to work properly. Okay, so it's really important that we have phase rotation correct. Now, how do I check phase rotation to make sure it is correct to my scroll compressor? I use a phase rotation meter. Now, there's several different brands out there. I happen to use a very inexpensive one. It's made by Fieldpiece. It is in my meter of choice that I've been using a lot lately, which is the SC640 or SC460. SC460 is the meter that I use. It's a smaller clamp meter, but they have a bigger one too. Or no, SC480. Yeah, I'm sorry. SC480 is the meter that I'm using, and it has phase rotation built into it. That's the smaller line. And then you can get the SC680, I think. That's the big giant one with the swivel head. But within that, actually, in the video that I'm releasing tomorrow, of all things, you can see a phase rotation test too, where you test the A phase, the B phase, and the C phase, and you make sure that they're in line, and then you'll know that your compressor is going to spin in the right direction. All right, let me get to the chat right now and see what I'm missing in here. What would I do if I can't get the OEM parts for R290 equipment? I will not fix it, period. Done. Not going to do it because it's a massive liability for me right now. So no aftermarket parts whatsoever on any R290 equipment. If I can't, like for instance, the video with the roaches, guys, the roach video that I just released, that compressor was back ordered. So from the start of that video to the end of that video was 4 weeks. No joke. Because I'm not retrofitting anything on R290. The liability is way too high in the States, especially in California. Hell to the no. OEM only on those things. I would even argue that maybe not even on a cord. And, the cord that you plug into the wall, I'm going OEM. Because if there was ever a problem with that unit, they're going to come back on me. And not going to happen. All right, let me see. What product would I suggest to use to sanitize ductwork? The strike back cleaner by Refrigeration Technologies is what I would use. I mean, I don't know your exact situation. I don't know if you have to go like with a whole fogging system. I'm sure there's companies out there that sanitize things, but as far as cleaning coils, sanitizing coils and like doing spot areas in ductwork, I would use the Viper strike back cleaner. You just mix it to the proper concentration and spray it on there, and it sanitizes all surfaces and, kills all kinds of stuff and everything. Just check out Refrigeration Technologies and look up their strike back cleaner. You can find it at truetechtools.com, and you can use my offer code BIGPICTURE. There's a shameless plug. All right. You need some subs over at your channel. Me, right on, bud. All right. What air contaminants will deteriorate an evaporator coil? Corrosives, anything with citrus in it, anything with chlorine in it, any kind of acidic stuff. So if you have a restaurant and they keep salad dressings and or citrus fruit, oranges, that kind of stuff, that citric acid is going to become airborne and it's going to just kill the coils. That's why it's so important that customers cover up their products. I'm going to tell you a story. So long time ago, I used to do work for, they're closed, so I can say their name, GameWorks. Used to be a video game place. You would go in, it was a giant video game place, and they had a restaurant, and they had bars all over the place. It was actually kind of fun. That was in the late 90s, early 2000s. But so I used to do work for a GameWorks out here, and they had a bar out in the middle of their dining room. And bars naturally have beer, and beer has yeast in it. Yeast can plug up drains and create slime, and it's all nasty and crap. So they would constantly have plugged up drains, and they would have me come out, and I'd blow the drains out, flush the drains out, and then they'd say, you know, they'd have to call me back a couple weeks later. Drains are plugged up again. But then all of a sudden, they didn't call me for a couple weeks, and I was like, I wonder what happened. Well, the customer decided in their infinite wisdom that they were going to solve their problem, okay? Because when I flushed the drain, they saw what I did. I went and grabbed a cap full of bleach, I poured it down the drain, and then flushed it with hot water. And the bleach sanitized and cleaned all the slime out. And then we flushed everything and made sure it was nice and clean, called it a day. Well, the customer saw that, and they said, you know what? I don't need him anymore. So they went and grabbed a cap full of bleach, and actually a cap. They grabbed a cup, a measuring cup, and they kept bleach, and they put it inside the box underneath the evaporator coil and just would replace that bleach as all the time, basically, okay? Well, what happened was that bleach, and that was a brand new box that was under factory warranty. All of a sudden, they call me out there. It's not working again. I thought I was going to have a plugged up drain. No, I had a refrigerant leak. And I went in there, and that coil was all different colors, and the bleach had actually destroyed the inside of the box. Okay? I mean, literally, they had to replace the $6,000 refrigerator at the time. And they were like, what? Warranty won't cover that? And I'm like, no, you put a cup of bleach in there, and you just let it sit. And they're like, but we saw you do that. And I said, no, I was pouring bleach down the drain. I didn't say dummy, but I wanted to say dummy. And then I was flushing it. But no, he just put a cap full of bleach or a cup of bleach and just let it sit in there, and it just ate the entire inside of the box up. So got to be careful. But anything around the ocean with salt, anything corrosive is going to eat the coils up like crazy. Yeah, a disgruntled employee will cause damage to a coil for sure. Yeah, I've had a manager put a steak knife through a coil because he was too cheap to call me. They kept icing up their walk-in cooler, and it was because the door was being left open, and the manager was getting frustrated, and his anger was coming at us. And so he called us one day, and he goes, yeah, man, it's iced up again, and I went in there, and I de-iced it, but now it's not coming down to temp. And I go, okay. So I go in there, and there's about 4 holes in the coil right in the copper that were done with a steak knife. And the steak knife he left sitting on the counter. You know, he must have gotten a big surprise. He didn't manage to, or bother to tell us over the phone that he stabbed a steak knife through the back. Because you know when he stabbed that thing popped in his face and blew refrigerant out everywhere. But nope, he didn't say nothing. He just left the steak knife there and said it wasn't working again. Dummy. Yeah, that was an interesting one too. That was a fun one though, because that guy was a pain in the butt. And yeah, let's just say that I loved giving them the bill for the evaporator coil. That was a fun one. Is it cheaper for a manufacturer to make cheap quality and pay warranty than quality products and charge more? That's a great question, Mr. Ice. I don't know. I have some of these manufacturers that are selling their refrigerators for so cheap, but yet they're paying warranty up the butt. So I don't understand how warranty is good for them. Their warranty costs are through the roof. I'm assuming that they do that to suck it up so that way they can sell the parts when the warranty expires. But these refrigerator manufacturers are giving like 3-year parts and labor warranties lately. So I gotta tell you what, hot tea is like the best thing in the world when you're doing these live streams, man. It really helps my throat. What kinds of animals have I found in ACs or other condensing units? Pigeons, for the most part, has been my problems. Lots of interesting stories about pigeons with air conditioners that aren't working, panels that fall off on the roof, customers not doing maintenance. So pigeons will go and make a nest in the ductwork, and then they want to get it operational. We had this one happen. They want to get it operational, so then we have to go become a freaking pigeon catcher. We were like running around to all the outdoor stores trying to get butterfly nets and crap so we can capture pigeons in the ductwork and freaking get them out. Those ducts were so full of pigeon shit. It was ridiculous. Really appreciate, guys, if you hit the like button. It definitely helps out the stream. That definitely helps it out. What charging tee do I use for my job link probes? So it's made by CPS. If you actually go to any one of my videos, look in the show notes, and right around the job link probes, you'll see the link for the tee. But it's made by CPS. You can get it from TrueTech Tools, obviously. But yeah, there should be a link in the show notes of I don't know if it's in the live stream or not, but I know if you look at my video that I released yesterday, it'll be in the show notes of that. Just look right around the field piece job link probes. If you can't find it in there, send me an email and I'll get you a link. So let's see what else. Yeah, pigeons are. I was working on a roof today, and there was pigeon crap everywhere. It's disgusting. Yeah, it's nasty as all get up. I got a couple of different points I want to talk about here. Guys, I was actually recently interviewing someone to potentially work with me, and great candidate and stuff, but we'll see how it all works out. But I think it's going to work good. But we were talking about something, and I had to express to him, and he was very okay with everything. And he was kind of surprised that I had to express this, because some people out there feel like preventative maintenance is beyond them or below them. Okay. There's some people out there that feel like, I'm not going to go do a PM. That's not my job. That's what PM guys are for. They just want to go out and fix things. Guys, preventative maintenance is actually the best place to learn how to do your job better. When you're doing PM service, right? Back when things were good and we had tons of customers that were doing PM service, that was the best place to learn how to do refrigeration and air conditioning. Because when I went up on that roof every month for an entire year, I kept going back to that same restaurant. I kept hearing all the noises, and they register in your head as what's normal and what's not normal. And you start to notice, hey, the customer said, when I walk in the door to do the preventive maintenance, ask them how everything's going, are they having any problems? And they said, yeah, I've got an air conditioner. It's just hot in this side of the dining room. And when I go on the roof, I just notice there's a loud noise coming from over there, and it's something different. Preventative maintenance is not beyond anybody. Don't ever feel like you're better than a PM, okay? PMs are great because they're places to generate revenue, to be honest with you, safely and honestly. I can go up on a roof today, right? I had a service call today for a plugged up drain. I went up onto the roof, I blew out all the drains, and I said, you know what? We need all new filters. All these filters haven't been changed since January, right? And all these belts are bad too. So I spent 6 hours today, justifiably, and billed the customer for 6 hours to change filters, to clean coils, and do all that stuff, when they called me out for a water leak that took me an hour to figure out, right? But I was being honest, I was being fair, and preventative maintenance helped me because I'm looking at this going, this stuff just needs a good PM, and you get used to things. Jerry, thank you very much for that super chat. That is really awesome. Why do people spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy and install a package unit, then never do PM, coil cleaning, filters, etc.? Jerry, that is the $1 million question, but these customers, they just have budgets, and essentially a lot of these chain restaurants are just crossing their fingers. Like I was saying earlier, they're just crossing their fingers that they're not going to get problems. But to be fair, they're going through crazy times right now. Money is tight. In Southern California, or in California in general, you can't have anybody in the restaurant. You're only allowed to seat on patios. So for those of you that aren't in California, guys, every one of our restaurants has easy ups set out in front of their restaurants so that customers can sit out in front and eat food. They pulled their tables outside, and they're all sitting in parking lots and everything, right? It's 110 degrees outside today, and you go by a restaurant and there's 10 easy ups with tables underneath them. There's probably only 4 people eating there, but they're doing anything they can to survive right now. So unfortunately, they have to cut costs somewhere. Preventative maintenance, while they realize it's beneficial right now, it's about survival. So they're not spending the money unless they have to. But I've been given instructions that, if you go out there for a service call and you see everything's dirty, go ahead and clean it. But they just don't want me going out there on a regular to clean everything. They're just doing, maintenance when it breaks down, basically. It's a bummer. Do I get nervous in any client's places with COVID exposure? Dino, I can't tell you that I don't get worried about COVID, because I do, okay? Whether you believe in it or not, I think we can all agree. Well, I think everybody agrees that it's real, okay? But I think that a lot of people feel like it's not as bad as some people make it out to be, okay? But regardless, just because you think that it's not as bad as the media is making it out to be, do you really want to take that gamble? I mean, are you honestly telling me that you go through life carefree without even worrying about it? Because I worry about it, and I believe some of it's hyped, but I believe it's real. I know people are getting sick and dying, okay? So it's scary. But yeah, I worry about it. I really do, okay? I have to go to work every day to make ends meet. I have to work to keep my business afloat. Even when we had the lockdown, right? We had a lockdown for 3 months. All my employees were laid off. I was still working. I wasn't working as much, but I had to go out every day and work. Of course, I have a mask. Of course, I have sanitizer and gloves. all that different stuff. But it's important that I kind of compartmentalize it. So I am worried. It sucks. I have to make contact. I am the factor in my house. I am the variable. Okay, my wife and my kids, they don't really go anywhere. My wife will go grocery shopping every once in a while, but for the most part, I go with her when she goes. But, you know, I'm the real variable because I'm going out and speaking to customers every day. Guess what? My customer, I write up an invoice, I do it on my phone, and I have them sign my phone. I have customers touching my phone that I put up to my face every single day. That worries me. So I sanitize my phone. I can tell you guys what, and I'm going to use this as a shameless plug right now too. Refrigeration Technologies, you can buy their hand sanitizer in a gallon jug, guys. A gallon jug of hand sanitizer. I put a giant pumper on it. It's sitting at my shop. I fill that thing up weekly and burn through hand sanitizer. But I use hand sanitizer like crazy, you know, because I don't want to get my kids sick. The other day I was talking to my wife, and I'm going to put this in perspective, and this is what scared us. My wife was getting ready to go back to the gym, and we were but then the governor just ordered a lockdown again. So we just locked down gyms and things like that. And my wife and I were talking, and the gym that she goes through is like a personal trainer kind of a thing. And they were like, you know what, we're just going to stay open. And so we were going back and forth. And my wife inevitably decided not to go back. And I'm going to tell you what it was that made her not go back. Was when we were talking, we kind of came to the conclusion. And we said, you know what? We have 2 girls that live with us. And if our girls get sick and they go to the hospital, we can't go with them. We can't go see them. We don't get to sit by their bed. We don't get to be with them when they're sick in the hospital. That hit home and that hurt, thinking that I wouldn't be able to be there with my kids in the hospital. No matter what was potentially going to happen to them, they would be alone. So that made me second guess about going out. So it makes me scared. Yeah, I'm scared just like everybody else. And don't lie and say you're not, because deep down inside, y'all know that this is sketchy. You know, this sucks. But yeah, anyways, compartmentalize. That's what I do. Bury it. You're not supposed to. I'm joking. I don't bury things anymore. I talk about things, guys. I haven't seen a therapist in a long time, but I got a lot of really good tools from when I went to go see a therapist about my anger and stuff. I've been very open. If you guys don't know about that, search on my channel for How We Live the HVACR Life. My wife and I did a series of videos where we talked about my anger and bipolar disorder and all these different problems that I have. But communication is the biggest thing. So even when I'm scared, even when I'm upset, I talk with my wife, I talk with my dad, I talk with my friends, and just communicate. And I don't hide anything. You know, I don't bury it. I really do talk about it a lot. You know, even if we don't have a solution, just talking to someone definitely helps. So, all right, let's see what else we got in here. With the Patriots. Well, Evan, will the Patriots be any good without Tom Brady? Well, I'm going to break everybody's hearts and tell you that I absolutely do not know anything about sports. I've never been a sports fan. I like to play sports, but I don't follow any whatsoever. So I don't know anything about football. I know Tom Brady's football. I should say foosball, huh? I should have, that's what I should have done. I should have called it baseball or something just to piss you guys off. But yeah, I don't follow sports, so sorry. How can I properly adjust a TXV when they keep opening the door and putting product in it? Well, first off, you've got to figure that one out. If the customer still has product in your system that you're trying to work on, that's a problem, okay? So you need to talk to the customer. In that situation, what I'll usually do, so say I'm working on a walk-in cooler and you're trying to watch it come down to temperature and the customer keeps opening the damn doors, I just go get the manager and I very politely educate him. I said, look, here's the deal. I'm trying to work on your walk-in right now, and we need it to be operational. But the problem is that you guys keep coming in and out of this box, and so we have 2 choices here. I can stay here and wait for you guys to stop coming in and out. It could be a couple hours, and that's a couple $100. And or I can leave, and we can just let it go and see if you have any more issues, and it might be a couple $1,000. You know, so I just kind of give the customer the choice politely and just leave it in their hands. Do you want to stop coming in and out of this box so I can finish it? Or do you want me to just let it go and you could potentially pay me to come back again later? You know, that's a difficult thing, but I always put it on the manager and ask them their opinions. And if the manager isn't someone that can make a decision, call their boss. Ask them, tell them, say, hey, you know what? I can't work on this. All right. Total Tech. Let me see what else we got. What am I missing? Oh, I don't know what question I answered that I shouldn't have answered, Total Tech. So, Have I ever had a part not warranty? I'm curious what you meant by that, Total Tech. I'd like to know what I shouldn't have answered. All right, let's see what else. Have I ever had a part not warranty due to lack of maintenance? Oh, yeah. Yeah, constantly at my restaurants all the time. Well, similar. We do work for the manufacturer, right? And I'm working for the customer too. And I know when a manufacturer isn't going to warranty something. So I'll go up to like a reach-in cooler. Oh, for instance, the roach video, right? The video with the reach-in cooler with all the roaches. I didn't even call the manufacturer. I just went to the customer and I said, look, bro, this thing's full of roaches. They ain't warranting that. And I'm not even going to file a claim. So you guys can deal with that. You guys got to pay for it. So the customer paid for all the roach damage, all the temperature controllers. I did push the compressor and the solenoid valve through for warranty because those were refrigerant leaks though. And those were common problems with that. So I pushed that through, but the customer had to pay for the temperature controllers, the time clocks, the cleaning, all that stuff. Yeah, I've had for lack of maintenance for sure. Of course, I try to take care of my customers as much as possible, but at the same time, when I do warranty work, let's put it this way. Whenever I do warranty work for a manufacturer, I lose money. Warranty work doesn't benefit me. Manufacturers don't pay full price ever. So it's, let me see what else we're doing in here. What am I missing on here? Oh, I'm sorry, Total Tech. Yeah, that's a bummer, bud. I'm sorry that you don't like my channel, but it's all good, man. You're free to stay in here. I'm okay with criticism. I'm okay with people having different opinions about what I do. And, of course, there's things that I can always do better. So, you'd mentioned something that, think that people are going to get hurt watching my videos. I'm always looking for feedback and I'm always looking to better myself. So if you have a suggestion for something that I said incorrectly, I'm really, really honestly asking you, send me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and let me know what it is that you think I did wrong, because maybe I'm doing something and I don't realize I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I shared some information that is not correct, and I am always willing to learn, bud. So do me a favor, hvacrvideos@gmail.com, and send me an email. I will be glad to answer your email, and I'm always looking for feedback. When I make mistakes, which I make them all the time, I'm always willing to accept criticism. So I got no problem with people criticizing me. You're free to come in here and criticize. I don't ever delete that stuff. As long as you don't get nasty and you don't start getting pissed at other people, that's all that matters to me. So, what do I think of those misting systems for residential condensers? Don't ever put those things on your system. Don't ever try to sell a misting system. You're going to end up destroying the coil. It's crap. You're going to have massive calcium damage, especially here in Southern California. We have extremely hard water. You're just going to destroy everything. So those misting systems suck. Any tips or suggestions on probe placement for accurate readings in package RTUs? That's a difficult one. So in a perfect world, when you're working on a package unit and you're using the field piece job link probes, you want your supply air probe to be at your first supply air register. Furthest from, the one closest to the AC, but you don't want it in the side of the ductwork, in the side of the AC. And the return, you kind of have to have it in the side of the AC because you need to get mixed air from the economizer. But we all know that I'm not climbing down into the ductwork and I'm not going to put my probe down at the first supply register. So I will usually put them up at the unit, but I have to understand that my numbers may be a little bit skewed. So if you have a supply air probe that's really close to your evaporator coil because you just shoved it in the side of the unit, you can get some skewed readings. Basically, you can have basically it could be too cold, right? If it's in heat mode, you could get heat radiating off of the heat exchanger. So you do need to make sure, you have to understand how things work. So, but I do troubleshoot often by putting the probes actually in the unit, right up at it, because it's just not practical. So, all right. David May, it's okay if he's hating, it's fine, but we don't need to call names. I'm not cool with that. Even if he's being a punk, it's all good, man. I'm okay with criticism. I really am. So we don't need to call names. Let me see what else. Is there a system to the refrigerant number designations? 2 X's are one class, 4 X's are different class, or is it just arbitrary? That's a good question. That would be a question for I think ASHRAE is the refrigerant number designations. So they actually assign the refrigerant numbers for the different refrigerants. So, but I don't think it has much to do other than a numbering system. So, all right. So let me see what else I'm missing in here. Let me see. Okay. So I'm going to get to my list of things to talk about here. You know, that's funny. After the whole Total Tech thing. And again, bud, I'm totally open to criticism. So send me an email. I have on my list right here that I wanted to address something. I am not a perfect service technician, guys, nor will I ever claim to be. I make mistakes every single day. This is funny because this is genuinely on my list of things to talk about. It's on my general points and it's my ranting stuff. So guys, I make mistakes all the time. Something that you have to remember is when I'm making my videos, I'm literally turning a camera on and ranting and raving, you know, like a lunatic as I'm working. So sometimes you hear ramblings and sometimes my head thinks faster than my lips and my mouth might say something that's not correct. You know, sometimes I don't explain everything 100%. And that's just because I'm usually, when I don't explain things super thoroughly, is probably because I'm usually in there like doing something and like thinking. And sometimes I'll just say stuff and not think, oh, you know what? I could probably explain that easier for a certain person because sometimes I'm just troubleshooting, you know? So again, I am not perfect, nor will I ever claim to be. Great question that I had is, can people... So someone had literally emailed me and said, hey, can I come work with you? He lives about an hour and a half from me, 2 hours, and he wants to come work with me, just shadow me for a week or two, just at a time. I've even had people offer to pay me, and I'm not trying to brag, but hey, man, I'll pay you if you let me come work with you for a week just to learn. It sounds cool. I would love to help everybody out there, but unfortunately, in this great state of California, this beautiful sunshine state, I can't have people working for me that are not paid because liability. If they get hurt, any of that stuff, I'm liable, and my customers would be liable. It's a nightmare, a legal nightmare. So I can't have people shadowing me or doing that kind of stuff. I wish I could, but I can't. So, do I have a video on Measure Quick? This was another one. So someone had said, hey, you're using this Measure Quick app and it looks great, but how do you use it? Can you make a video on how to use it? There are a bunch of videos that Jim Bergman has. Go to Measure Quick on YouTube and just look up the videos that he has. There's great videos that explain completely how to use it. I do not have a how-to video on it because simply I couldn't touch the amount of knowledge that Jim Bergman has in his head when he describes his own app that he created himself. So go check out Measure Quick on YouTube and you'll get all kinds of great information on there. What else do we got? Can I make a video on my clamp meter does like all the functions? I mean, it's always a possibility while I'm working. I really don't make tool videos. One of these days I'll start putting them on my actual tools channel because I made another YouTube channel just for tools. But I don't post on there yet. So one of these days, maybe I'll do that on the tools channel. Thank you very much for that super chat. It says, is the principle for automotive AC the same as walk-in coolers and freezers? Yes and no. The concept of refrigeration and heat transfer is the same. So your automotive air conditioner is going to have a metering device. It's going to have a condenser, an evaporator, and some refrigeration lines. But yeah, it's the same principles. It's ran by DC or, you know, belt-driven motors, something, you know, DC. Yeah, it is DC. But same concepts per se, but not, you know, you're not going to clear a sight glass or anything like that. So thank you very much for that super chat, Evan. I really, really appreciate it. That is awesome. Let me see what else. Kayak update. So at this point, guys, we are going to turn off the technical talk. Okay. I'm not going to do the HVAC talk. We're going to do this whole, I always do this at the end of the stream where I just kind of ask me personal questions that you guys have. I saw someone ask a question about a kayak. So I can answer this one too. Do I require both C38 and C20 to work on AC and refrigeration, or will one cover both? No, you're technically supposed to have both to work in California, a C20 and a C38 to be able to do refrigeration and air conditioning. One of them you can get just your air conditioning one, but if you want to work on refrigeration, you have to get the other one. So where's my kayak? I still want to get a kayak. I haven't gotten one yet. I have two kayaks that I want. I want a Bonafide 127 is one that I'm interested in. Of course, in a perfect world, I want a Hobie kayak, but I'm not going to spend $6,000 for a basic bone stock kayak. Hell no. But they do look really cool. But the Bonafide, I think it's the SS 127 is the one that I'm interested in. And then also the Malibu Stealth is the other one that I'm interested in. They're both fishing kayaks. I've been wanting them for a while, but nobody has them in stock. And I really want to get my hands on it and feel it and check it out. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen with the Bonafide one. The Malibu one, actually, they make the kayaks local in California. So one of these days, I'm going to try to give them a call and see if they have any that I can just come see at the factory. But last I checked, both of them were out of stock everywhere. So no, I have not gotten the kayak yet, but I am looking at either the Stealth by Malibu and or the Bonafide. I think it's the SS 127. Or maybe it's the, I thought it was a 14-foot, but whatever. Definitely want to get one, though. Wife and kids are good. They're hanging in there. Everybody's happy. My wife and kids are going to go up and visit some family soon up in the northern part of our state. So that's kind of cool. They're going to get away with that. Let me see what else. Don't I have wife cut my hairs these days? Yeah, I cut my own hair, actually. Well, my wife helps me. So I just have clippers and I shave my head. And then she'll usually get the back where I can't see and stuff like that. So I'm a cheap ass. I've actually been cutting my own hair for probably 5-6 years now. If you guys follow me on social media, oh shoot, I don't even know where it is. There was one time I was cutting my hair. I think I posted this on my Facebook page, but I was cutting my hair and my clippers died in the middle of cutting my hair. They literally died. And I had like half my head shaved. And I usually, whenever I shave my head, that time I had a lot of hair and I shaved it really, and I was doing like silly stuff to mess with my kids. And then my clippers died, of all things. So I had asked my wife, I was like, hey, will you run to Costco and get me another set of clippers? And she goes, sure. Well, my daughter had heard, what my daughter heard was, I'm going to Costco like this. So my daughter said, I want to go to Costco. And at the time she was trying to do a YouTube channel, right? Because she's a teenage girl. And she was like, I want to film it for my YouTube channel. And I was sitting here thinking, no, I'm not going to Costco. And then I go, you know what? Hell, this is a good way to teach my daughter to not worry about what people thought. So I had half a shaved head, half of my hair going everywhere. And I said, yeah, I'll go to Costco. So my wife didn't want to go. My daughter just wanted to go with me. So we went to Costco and I walked up to the return line with the clippers. This is not a joke, guys. This is a real story. So I stand in line in the return line at Costco with my hair all messed up. I look like a crazy person. And I'm holding a set of clippers in a Ziploc bag because I bought them at Costco. And we're walking up and we wait and we get up to the front. And the lady that's standing there, she's asking me, she goes, okay, what are you returning? And I hand her the clippers and I said, they broke. And then she goes, okay. And she doesn't make eye contact with me at all. So she's typing on her computer and she goes, I'm not finding these clippers in the system. And I go, I bought them here like a year or two ago. And, because Costco, you can return anything. And she's going through it and she's like, I'm not finding them in the computer. And I go, trust me, they're in there. I said, look under my name. They're there. She's looking. She goes, I'm not finding them in there. So she went through my entire Costco membership years back. She goes, you didn't buy these clippers here. And my stomach dropped. I'm not kidding with you. I was standing in line at Costco. I went through 20 minutes of her trying to find these in the computer to find out I didn't buy them at Costco. So, oh well. And then the lady looks up and she goes, then her eyes get big and she kind of has like a smirk on her face. And she's not supposed to react to this stuff, but she never looked at my head the whole time. And she goes, what? And she looked at the clippers and she goes, you were serious when you said your clippers broke, huh? And I said, yeah, they broke when I was trying to shave my head and I thought I bought them here. And she goes, oh, and now she's like laughing and her coworker behind her is like laughing and I don't care. So then I had to get out of line and walk out to my car, put the clippers out there and then go out back into Costco and just buy some clippers. So all that crap, I thought I bought them at Costco. I didn't. And then I ended up buying clippers. My daughter thought it was the funniest thing in the world. She put it on her YouTube channel. I think I have a clip of it somewhere. I don't know where, but it was the funniest thing ever. All right, let's see what else. When are the hats arriving and international shipping? So I haven't heard from the t-shirt guy. I placed the order like a week and a half ago. So I don't know. It should be shipping here to me anytime soon. As far as the international shipping, I haven't done anything yet. So let's see what else. All right. Well, everybody. Where is there to fish on a kayak in SoCal besides reservoirs? Well, you can go in the ocean, which I don't know if I really want to go out in the ocean too much, but it's just reservoirs. We have a lot of little lakes beside us, like up in the San Bernardino National Forest. We go up to Lake Gregory. We can go up to Big Bear Lake. We can go to Silverwood Lake. There's a lot of little spots where a kayak would be perfect. I could just go out there for the day and not have to worry about talking to people. That's what I want to do. So, all right. Nope, no fishing updates as of yet. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. I really, really appreciate you guys all coming in here. This was awesome. Thank you so very much for the super chats. You guys are very awesome. That's awesome support. Check us out on Discord. There's going to be a link in the show notes. I'll post another link real quick. It's just a place to hang out, guys. Just like a giant chat room, just like this. I come in there a couple times a week. I'm not in there all the time, but you guys feel free to join. See you guys on the Overtime show on Friday, this upcoming Friday. I'll be on the Overtime show again, and I probably won't be drinking, guys. So I may not be as fun. Straight razor shave. I've never done a straight razor shave couch potato. I'll have to check it out one time. So have I ever thought about leaving California and going elsewhere? Yeah, but my wife would never leave California. So I would love to go leave this state. I would love to. I don't belong here. Politically or anything, I don't belong in this state. So, but my wife is a beach girl. My daughters are beach girls. They grew up at the beach, the ocean. So I won't ever leave. I'll be here forever. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Again, thank you guys so very much. And we're going to cue up the outro music if I can figure this out. And let's see if I can do this and transition this over. If y'all could do one thing, if y'all could take one thing from my videos or my live streams, please stop, take a second, take a step back, and look at the big picture. For those that follow me on social media, my cat came home. The cat that ran away, yeah, we found her.